All right, welcome everyone. Today we're here with a Tenzing check-in for November 2025. We're going to be talking about the firmware release for 16.5.39. This is for all NOS, PeakOS, and Repurposing. This will be hosted by myself. I'm Carl Bell. I'm a regional sales director at Tenzing, and we have Matthew Phillips here helping me fill in the technical blanks. And he is our quant QA manager. I don't know if you want to wave, give an instruction, what you want to do.
Hello, everyone.
There you go. All right, so first up, some interesting stuff. We have a new piece of hardware. This is called the 7300Q. Like other hardware platforms in our lineup, this comes with all the OS types we offer. So we have available with Windows 11. We're available with NOS for Citrix, Omnissa, or AVD. And we also offer it with our PeakOS, that's our full Linux distribution. It's somewhat comparable, slightly faster than our 7000Q series. One of the biggest differences, it comes with 2 HDMI ports instead of the dual DP. It also has optional +1 for USB-C Alt DP for display, and it is available with PoE Plus. I'm not sure if you want to elaborate anything on that, Matt.
Yeah, so it meets the IEEE 802.3 AT standard. So yeah, PoE Plus.
Okay, perfect. I guess that's all we need to discuss there. Any further information, obviously, you can call in and we can speak on the phone. So next up, just kind of showing where it fits in with our current lineup. So we have the entry-level device, which is the 4648. And it's just kind of showing that the 7000 and the 7300 are somewhat in the same ballpark. Biggest difference, like I mentioned earlier, was really the display outs, the +1 monitor, and the optional PoE. Okay, moving on. So I guess we have some boot speed improvements. Matt, you kind of go through this. So if you want to let us know what we've done.
Yep. So we're just kind of jumping right into some release notes here. So QA runs boot speed tests regularly. We try to keep all the units below a minute boot time. Right now, our higher end units like the 7048, which is kind of the middle level, I suppose, is 45 seconds or so. And closer to 35 seconds, depending on which VDI flavor you pick and if you're doing cold boot or warm boot. So the point of my 3 AI generated slot bunnies there is it's fast. So we're kicking butt in the boot speed land.
Perfect. All right. So next up, we have. I'd missed one, so I've come back. So next up we go through a sample of just some of the new features and improvements we've made. So for a full list, you can go to tenzing.com/firmware, click latest release, and just pick the release for the firmware version you are wanting. If not already, also make sure to go to the customer support tab on the website, click tech and firmware notifications, and sign up to get updated as firmware is released, and get release notes there. Okay, so next up we have. Okay, so I guess there's a no limitation on the Omnissa client. This is firmware version 16.5.39. This is only for customers using PCOP. It will not affect you if you're using Blast, but if you are using PCOP, the workaround really for this is it's been fixed in the 2506 Horizon add-on, and you can get that through the website. Okay, so next up we have, we're just going to go through some different updates were made to various brokers we utilize, the AVD, the Citrix, and the Omnissa. So let's go on to the next one. So first up, a big change we have now is a rebranding change. So as everyone is aware, VMware spun off Horizon. Omnissa now is now Omnissa Horizon instead of VMware Horizon. So this does change the naming on the devices and in the management console. There will now a NOS V unit will now show as a NOS O unit. Purely as branding, no changes. Matt, I don't know if you have anything else to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So we got some jokes for you throughout the slides. So you saw earlier with my bunnies here, the AI slot generated bunnies, and then I put in some human jokes so we can compare as we go throughout the presentations. This is my little like JavaScript here showing that it is an equality between VMware Horizon and Omnissa Horizon. So.
Yep. I don't get it at all, but I'll let you have it.
Print result equals true. So.
All right, so First up, obviously, we just spoke about Omnissa Horizon client, now replacing VMware Horizon client. We're currently using version 2503, sorry. There is add-on available for the 2506.
Yeah, we don't charge for that. That's on the website. So if you guys go there, there's a little form to fill out if you want an add-on, but then you get direct access to that right away.
Okay. So for Citrix, we are currently using Citrix Workspace app 2411. We do have add-ons available for 2505. It's available for NOS-C, PeakOS, and RPOS. Again, we do not charge for firmware. It's always available for free on the website. Okay, so next up we have updates for our NOS-M devices. Is any customers using AVD? So we've added here support here for Imprivata, SSO Smart Card, and Enter ID. So previously was only available on our Windows, on our VMware and Citrix devices. So this is pretty exciting stuff. Matt, how much updates on this?
Not a thing. It doesn't cost us anything. Doesn't cost the customers anything. That's what we do.
Oh, there you go. All right. So next up we have some just some visual changes, just some more modernized control panel GUI. Anything else really on there, Matt? It's worth discussing.
Yeah, just some pretty new icons, and then we changed the background, obviously, in the control panel. And the joke I'm making here is that I'm the simple human, with just simple words, new, pretty, modern, and we'll see if AI can do better as we move on with the presentation.
Okay. All right, so I guess the more changes in the control panel, the GUI for certificate applets changed. It's moved to the certificate applet, the import button. Anything else to add on that, Matt, or we're discussing it further shortly?
Yeah. So I'm going to elaborate on this. So we removed that import button. That doesn't mean that we remove the ability for you to install certificates. So with this next slide, so you have two options to get your certificates installed. You can use a USB option, which I'm down here, I'm kind of pointing out, like if you go into security settings, enable install from USB, and then plug in your USB drive that has the certificate on the root of it, you'll get that menu that pops up on the far right of the slide, and you can install your cert. At that point, you would use a template inside the Tenzig Manager to propagate that cert to all your units. The other option is going to be in the Tenzig Manager, and so I'm just going to briefly and quickly kind of run through these steps. Incidentally, those three steps there, if you go into security settings, enable install from USB, this is how you install anything from USB if you want to install customized background or a disclaimer, or obviously a certificate with the capitals all screaming there, turn off after, because otherwise users would be able to plug in USBs, and you don't want that to happen to be able to let them install things. So after you install your certificate with these steps here, if you go into the certificate applet, you should be able to see your certificate listed there, and it'll show the file name, the issued on, and the expires on. Or your other option is you can import the certificates from the Tenzig Manager's web console. You can do it via editing an actual live config being that you retrieve the configuration back to the Tenzig Manager, then you go and you edit that config, and then edit the config importing the cert via the certificates applet, that green arrow there, and then you send that config down to the unit itself. Same here. So we're showing, then you can go and check and make sure that it's listed in the live config certificate applet, and after you send it down to the unit, of course. With either of these methods, USB drive or editing live configuration, if you're not editing an existing template, so you can do it that way also, you want to make sure that you retrieve the configuration and then generate the template. You can then push out the certificate to those units. And that's just because the config is not live updated. So if you're making changes to the unit, you need to pull that configuration into the manager before you do anything to it, so that you have the latest config. This next one is on SCEP. So we got a bunch of security ones here for you. So we support SCEP, so Simple Certificate Enrollment Protocol. This is where you're requesting certs from an on-site CA, and then you're using those certificates to authenticate onto your network. So a lot of this has to do with like zero trust, and zero trust being a buzzword these days. So I just renewed my CompTIA Security Plus, and that was mentioned often throughout there. And I'm with any of the security certs, zero trust, zero trust, zero trust. So what we have now is you're able to auto renew that with both Ethernet and wireless. So when that SCEP certificate expires, you're able to renew it with Ethernet or wireless. This is my AI slop here. So the little guys in robes are trying to attack you, and the Tenzing Knight there with his SCEP key is defending the fort.
And not very well branded knight.
I got the flag up top, right? I did the flag and stuff, right? I work on my prompting, I guess, right? If you want more information on zero trust, if you just go Google zero trust Tenzing, you'll get blog postings, and there's some YouTube videos that we've done. So there's more information out there on the interwebs about this, or call into support. Support can help you out too. So, well, on the subject of certificates, we updated the root certificate database in our firmware. So this has to do with if you're using public CAs, public certificate authorities, you can likely ignore everything on the last slide. So last slide being here where we're editing configs and all this sort of thing, because the certificates for those public CAs are included in our firmware. So when you update your firmware, then you're also going to get those new updated public CA issued certificates. We encourage customers to track their certificate expirations, but as a bonus, if you're using public CAs and you keep your firmware up to date, then you'll get those new certificates along the way. So it's time saver, I suppose.
Another one for you, Matt. You probably want to talk on it more intelligently than I will, so I'll let you take this.
Sure. So RPOS now supports secure boot. So Microsoft signs our kernel, and with that, if you have any modern UEFI-based device, then you're going to be able to leave secure boot enabled and boot RPOS. So this was a limitation before we started supporting secure boot. If you wanted our Repurpos, so Repurpos is our software that you can install on any third-party device and repurpose it, repurp, as a thin client. You had to go and to the UEFI and disable secure boot before it would boot, obviously, because it wasn't signed. So we tried to secure boot it, and then it would not do that. We're going to be offering secure boot on Linux-based devices also. Linux-based devices being our zero clients and thin clients. There is minimum UEFI and firmware versions for Tenzing Linux-based clients, so you can check with support for those minimum versions. So with this slide, I'm just explaining.
More jokes.
More jokes, more AI slop, right? So I'm explaining that we're using the Grub2 bootloader in RPOS, so again, our Repurpos, to repurpose third-party devices as a zero client. If you have regular BIOS that does not support secure boot, then the bootloader is going to be old syslinux bootloader. But yeah, what do you think of my my AI slop, Carl? Kind of looks like
very nice.
like a home arts and craft project, right? That a third grader did, gluing seashells and pine cones onto a boot or something. But it's all right. I mean, it's kind of funny. It took a quick little prompt, right?
I think the third grade is probably better at AI than we are right now.
Yeah, maybe you're probably right about the better prompts, right?
All right, so I guess we're bringing out Tenzing Secure Browser. So it's a new secure browser we offer. It's based off Chromium Embedded Framework. Anyone using, say, I guess, web-based VDI or web-based applications, this is going to be a good feature for you guys. probably quite interesting. And just so you can see where you find that, this is the PCOS Repurpose Connections Manager screen. So you'll just find it at the top there. Click on it, click add, and you'll be able to add it to your options of connectivity on your desktop. So
Yeah, yeah, I'll take this one, Carl. So this slide here is about configuring that 10-zig secure browser that we're showing you. So when you hear the 10-zig web browser. So I won't drone on too much about this because a lot of these settings are the same settings that you'd find in any browser. So you can lock it down, make it private, hide toolbars and controls. We support cookies. So if your web application or whatever it is requires cookies, you can set up a cookies filter and pick particular cookies that you're going to use. And you can set a home page, of course, and all that sort of stuff. So I got some more AI slop there, of course. Those are my 10-zig cookies that I had AI make for me. I think it is doing better with the jokes thus far. Here I'm showing it locked down. So I've created a connection at the top there, 10-zig web browser in PCOS or RPOS. And then I've configured it here. And then we've opened up 10zig.com. And you can see like there's no toolbar, so they can't navigate around. You can't create new windows. Hotkeys are disabled. They just have the scroll bar to go up and down. So think like maybe like a time clock application or something like that, where you just want them to have access to just where they can go within that website. So we now support both OpenVPN and OpenConnect. And I'm just pointing out here where you can find it in the control panel. So that's the VPN client. Obviously, this helps work from home users and remote users. So within the VPN applet, so you'd open up the VPN client here. You can pick which one you want to use. If you want to use OpenConnect or OpenVPN, and then obviously enable or disable the VPN. Generally, the easiest way to do it is to import an OVPN file. And I'm showing two there that you can pick for OpenVPN. And I'll let you guys screenshot this or pause the video if you want to see all the steps to install it. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, with installing certificates. You can install these OVPN files the same way, and then you can propagate those out using templates with the 10-zig manager. Here I'm showing if you click that status tab, once you've imported your file and connected to your VPN, it should show whether or not it's connected. And there's two places you can look for it. So within the actual control panel, so if you click that VPN client icon in the control panel, you'll see that green connected, that blue arrow there. Or if you're in PCOS or RPOS and you go down to the system tray in the bottom right, there's an icon down there that you can open up a little system tray applet and see that whether or not your VPN is connected. So I'll let you intro this if you want, Carl.
Okay, so yeah, pretty interesting stuff. People were asking for it. So we've now added event logger in the control panel. Mm-hmm. This does allow administrators to track security and device management related to events happening on the 10-zig clients. So Matt, you probably want to elaborate more than on all the features or why?
Yeah, so syslog, it's over UDP or TCP. It helps with meeting, non-repudiation, and accounting. So more of that security stuff, obviously, because you'll have the logs to prove one or the other.
No denials.
No denials. And you meet any of the regulated industries, SOC or wherever you work. So this will help meet you those requirements. So event logger, syslogger applet for output of real-time client-based data, so auditing of security-related events, performance, and network metrics also. So it's not just for the non-repudiation and accounting. We also have performance and network metrics. And then any kind of client setting changes, that will also be in there. It all goes to a centralized server. there's your event logger icon. This is just kind of a brief overview of the flow of the event logger. I'll let you guys stare at that if you want to kind of go into it. But basically, all of this goes into the event buffer filter. So sign into VDI or you make a change, then that goes there, and then it goes to the syslog client, and then that ends up at your remote log server. So all those log messages. This is where you set it up. So if you open up this icon there, you'll be presented with this. And you obviously have various tabs there. So you enable it, pick a port, and then it shows the log message format string that's going to your syslog server. There are a whole bunch of settings in here, so you can pick and choose what you're interested in. So like here, obviously, so it's like display settings, sound settings, network settings, keyboard settings, mouse settings. Whether or not a enumerated devices on boot, if you have a client device added or a client device removed. And then there's password access failed and password access success. So you can have all those events sent to, so like a user unplugs or plugs a device in, then that's going to be recorded and then sent off to the syslog server. This is a connection sign-on failed or connection sign-on success to whatever your chosen VDI client is. We have Tenzig Manager settings also. So if whether or not your Tenzig Manager connection was unavailable, whether or not they were able to hit the Tenzig Manager. So these are those performance settings. So you can set thresholds for CPU utilization, RAM utilization, disk utilization, contact support if you need more information on any of this.
Okay, so now we're on Repurposing. So this is our secure Linux OS for third-party hardware. Exactly the same, if you're familiar, as our Peak OS thin clients. This is simple management, simple deployment, simple OS, and simple licensing. It comes with all the VDI connection brokers preloaded, and will transform any old thin client and desktop into a Tenzig thin client. They can be now managed by the Tenzig manager. So any former Stratus customers who are not exactly enthusiastic about transitioning over to iGel, this is the exact solution you've been looking for. So up now is just a sampling of some of the hardware we've had customers recently deploy on. You can see most x86 devices should be good to go though. We do, I'll mention in just a second, we do offer free POC licenses. So if you're interested, we have 90-day POC licenses with full support via phone and email, and that's unlimited. We can give you as many as you like to kick the tires, test any piece of hardware you would wish to use this on, and hopefully find a great solution for you. So Matt, anything we need to add here?
Yeah, we did add support for running RPOS on VMs. So if you have VMware Workstation or vCenter deployed, you can get a hold of RPOS and speak with support, and you're able to then try out RPOS on a virtual machine.
Nice, and sounds like you're getting sick.
Yep. So this is something new that we're supporting. So we're I'm going to read a definition here to you guys about what a progressive web app is, so PWA, and how it relates to Teams. So in the same vein of more and more applications being consumed in a browser, we also have a PWA Chromium-based Teams add-on. This is where Teams is run via web browser, but locally installed on the unit. So to explain what a progressive web app is, so web application that uses web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to provide a user experience similar to a native mobile app. PWAs can be installed on a device, work offline, send push notifications, and are discoverable via search engines. They combine the accessibility and reach of websites with the reliability and functionality of apps, all from a single code base. So it automatically updates is a big part of this, because it's all just web-based, right? So we're doing some geometry here with our Chromium, and then we're pulling in that web app onto the device, versus like in the VDI world, what you would typically do is what they call optimizing Teams. So you're still going to have Teams installed on the VM itself. And so you're maintaining that part, keeping that up to date on the VM. And you're also got to maintain the part on the firmware and keeping that part up to date. Where what this does is it cuts all that business out because it's separated out from that, and then you're running it locally within that Chromium PWA-based app. Simpler, read simpler. So I'm showing an icon here. This is icon on the desktop of PCOS or RPOS. So I mean, you recognize the team's emblems. And then this one is for you, Carl.
Yes, we now support smart card. SSO is now supporting AVD, so anyone using that form of authentication. And what we're talking about, the version of AVD we're using is, we mentioned earlier, but it's SDK KV3.
Yeah, so we're doing Imprivata and AVD, or supporting Imprivata and AVD and RDP now, along with intra-ID support. So this is formerly known as Azure AD. And then Imprivata support used to be just VMware, Omnissa, Horizon, and Citrix Workspaces apps. So this kind of shows our commitment to being VDI agnostic. If you want to change from Citrix to AVD or AVD to Citrix, then we support you wherever you need to go. So this is about Kerberos. So NTLM with RDP, so NLA is being deprecated, or excuse me, hold on a second. Yeah, NTLM is being deprecated. In its place, we now offer Kerberos as an option, or you can do NTLM plus Kerberos, so you can fall back to NTLM if Kerberos fails. I'm just showing you that you can pick which one you want. This one's for you, Carl.
Yeah, just some more changes in how templates are seen. So you can always be able to see what template you're using and the dates in the management console. Now you can actually see that in the systems applet on the device, and Matt's kind of just showing where you would find that on the settings.
Yep, and then same thing in the manager here. This is your slide, Carl, but I'll take it from you. So
take it away.
So what we're showing here is that no matter if you're on the unit or you're in the manager, you're going to be able to see your template name. It's going to be the same across where you're looking. So if you're out there on the floor somewhere and you want to see what templates apply because you suspect something, you can just open up system information applet on the unit. Or if you're managing it remotely or from your desk or wherever, then you can check and see what the template name is and when it was applied last.
Yeah, so just some useful information here for either existing Tenzig customers, resellers, partners, or anyone really looking into Tenzig. We do offer twice monthly training on the Tenzig Manager. And Ed here gives a 60-minute run through, and then we reserve about 30 minutes at the end for Q&A. You can register these by going to tenzig.com, clicking on solutions, going to Tenzig Manager, and then click on free trainings. These are available on one-on-ones on occasion, but this has been a real good start, and we've had some really good reviews from this so far. I guess another one for me. So, I mean, just a list of partners. We're always adding partners. We're always, developing relationships with existing partners, ensuring we're on the latest and greatest and have all the latest features and functions available. And just kind of gives you a little visual of kind of some of the players we work with in the market. Just some resource links. So we can leave this up for a second. So if you have any kind of want to get some resources like firmware add-ons, so repurposing demos, request a demo, download the management console. Here's some links you can utilize just here. You can also go to our YouTube channel, which has a variety of videos. And
email address.
Yep. So got questions, we've got answers. So if you're in the US, info@tenzig.com. If you're in the Europe, or UK, info@tenzig.eu. Now I give you access to one of the sales team or technical resources to assist you with any questions, demo requirements, sales inquiries, or anything else you need. So I guess that's all we have from the 10-zig
That's a
check-in.
check-in.
Hopefully we didn't bore you to death. Hopefully give you some useful information. This is a one and done, so there's probably some mistakes along the way, which you can laugh at us for later. And that's just signing out. Thanks.
Bye, guys.